The US printing a $1 trillion coin could actually save the world from serious financial disaster. As absurd as that is, the $1 trillion coin solution has been floated as a way to stop the United States government from defaulting on its debt. And if the United States defaults on its debt, it would not only have serious ramifications for the US, but the flow-on effects would obviously impact the entire world. If the coin is minted and sits in the bank, its value would be added to the Treasury's general account and can be used for the country's bills. It's been considered by multiple presidents, and at least two big-name politicians wanted to pull this off, with Nancy Pelosi saying Jerry Nadler wants to have a coin, $1 trillion coin that doesn't even require congressional action. And he's not the only one. Rashida Tlaib once tweeted, #MintTheCoin. This idea keeps getting pushed since it first came up over 12 years ago. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has called the coin a gimmick and said it jeopardizes the independence of the Federal Reserve. So far, only short-term measures have been put in place to raise the debt ceiling, which only delays when the US might default on its debt for now, and the problem keeps coming up because all they do is delay the problem further down the line. If the $1 trillion coin sounds like something from The Simpsons, it's because it literally is. However, in The Simpsons, it was $1 trillion bill, which also is suspicious that someone in the US government just changed their homework slightly to avoid looking like they plagiarized this idea. The $1 trillion coin move has never been made before, but former President Barack Obama revealed on a podcast it was considered during his presidency, which again, the leader of the free world, as the President of the United States is known, genuinely considered just printing a coin and saying it's worth $1 trillion to fix all their debt problems. Some people worry the move will cause rising inflation, which is not something we have experienced anyway. Eggs in the US are now over double the price they were a year ago, which let's take a moment to spare a thought for kids nowadays who are deprived of going egging. However, others argue the Treasury could use it to buy back $1 trillion in debt from the Fed and retire it, and thus no new money hits the economy. For some background, in 1997, a law was introduced to allow the mint the power to print platinum coins of any amount for any reason in order to make money off coin collectors. And in 2011, a debt ceiling battle began in Congress, and some genius remembered The Simpsons and thought this could help go around the cap Congress places on federal government's borrowing. Instead of issuing new debt, the Treasury Secretary could fund the government with new coins or one massive coin. And in 2013, the US Mint Director who worked on the law agreed this solution would work, even saying there are no negative macroeconomic effects. And this does not raise the debt limit, so it can't be categorized as circumventing congressional authority over the debt limit. Rather, it delays when the debt limit is reached, and any court challenge is likely to be quickly dismissed. And that led to this being a genuine solution that has genuinely been considered by some of the world's most powerful people to just make a new coin and say it's worth $1 trillion and bam, all of our debt problems are fixed. Ultimately, the US government is just constantly edging their debt further down the line, and at some point, it's either going to come to some stupid solution like this, or they go broke and send the whole world into a depression. Because, you know, fixing the debt and trying to get out of it would just be too hard. The problem with the debt is that it funds growth, and low interest debt is good until it gets out of hand, in the same sense that a mortgage at even 5% interest rate is worth it if your house increases in price by 6% or more. Every president has to grow the economy, and let's be honest, no one will win if they run on the slogan, let's slow down for a couple of years. But let's exploit coin collectors is perfectly acceptable. And no one who just goes, I want to be an ordinary president is going to get anywhere close to running for president. And the $1 trillion coin may not even be as delusional as what they are doing, with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen notifying Congress that the US will reach its statutory debt limit and then asking to either suspend or to increase the debt limit. You know, just like going to your credit card and saying, I know I spent my $20K limit, but I'm going to keep spending, so just make it $30K and we'll deal with it later. Yellen wrote that the Treasury Department will begin taking certain extraordinary measures to prevent the United States from defaulting on its obligations. But it's okay, we have a long time before it becomes a problem, because she said it's unlikely that cash and extraordinary measures will be exhausted before early June. So yeah, just a few months and we have to address going broke again. Failure to meet the government's obligations would cause irreparable harm to the US economy, the livelihoods of all Americans, and the global financial stability. Yellen had warned. It's about this time that I should remind you that I'm a billionaire myself. I have these real $50 billion Zimbabwe notes that fixed all of their problems. They only had 79.6 billion% month-on-month inflation, or in egg terms, $200 billion for a carton of eggs. And they had a whole $217 US to spend for the entire country. Ironically, for all we know, the $1 trillion coin could have already been minted and be sitting in Joe Biden's garage or Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago. For what it's worth, all leaders have dismissed using this strategy so far, but the fact that they even have to talk about it as a genuine option is just wild. Barack Obama said on Pod Save America there were all kinds of wacky ideas about how you could potentially have this massive coin. I mean, it was some primitive, it was like out of the Stone Age or something, and I pictured rolling in some coin. Which is fine, but the idea that the President of the United States actually had to shut down this idea is insane, and I really wish we knew the other wacky ideas that they were throwing around. Look, if the government is stealing ideas from The Simpsons, I hope that someone over there right now floats the idea that they should rob a casino like Ocean's 11. And Joe Biden actually has to shut down the idea and explain that he can't jet Li into a casino vault. Or can he? Janet Yellen has said the platinum coin is equivalent to asking the Federal Reserve to print money to cover deficits that Congress is unwilling to cover by issuing debt. It compromises the independence of the Fed, conflating monetary and fiscal policy, and instead of showing that Congress and the administration can be trusted to pay the country's bills, it really does the opposite. But again, this is a seriously important person having to shut down such an insane idea. And some politicians have supported the idea. Representative Jerry Nadler brought up the coin during a closed policy meeting in September 2021 as an option to prevent the government default without requiring Congress action. Nancy Pelosi said Jerry Nadler wants to have a coin, $1 trillion coin that doesn't even require congressional action. So we talked about an array of things. But again, if they openly mention the coin, imagine what the ideas they keep referencing but are not saying publicly actually are. Whilst they put in place a band-aid solution for the debt ceiling problem at that time and it went away, it keeps coming back up again because all they have done is kick it down the line, and it's going to keep coming back up, and it's come back up several times since it was first raised 12 years ago, since no one realizes maybe we should just fix the actual problem. So there is a chance that we will see a future US government crazy or desperate enough to finally print that coin. And I, for one, welcome our coin printing overlords. Because, ultimately fixing the debt would just be insane. You know what else is insane? The spending in one of these other videos. So watch one so you can become a billionaire too.